disease that no one has ever seen. Repetitive head trauma chokes the brain.
The NFL does not want to talk to you. You turned on the lights and gave their biggest boogeyman a name.
You're going to war with a corporation that owns a day of the week.
No proof was presented today because there simply isn't any.
They have to listen to us. This is bigger than they are.
I got to see that movie. There's a thinking among those who have covered and played in the game of football that has a tendency to leave some men a bit light on the frontal lobes later in life. After all, it's a sport that features heads coming together, being driven into the turf, and in some cases, being forced to play in cities where championship dreams go to die every single season. That hurts. The Twitterverse and then sports media went off the scale this week in the undeniable fact to them that a former star college quarterback and current announcer was showing signs of obvious dementia, proclaiming a war on football and blaming liberals. Only one man can cut through the haze of such verbiage. Attorney, the man who invented the concept of commenting on sports business, more tied into what's said behind the scenes than any blowhard talking head, the CEO of Horrow Sports Ventures, the sports professor, Rick Horrow. Man, you're going to owe me a lot for that introduction. Okay, sorry, Rick, we're all out of time right now. Thanks, bud. We'll see you next time.
That's the best, by the way, that's the best interview you've ever done.
Come on, that's it. We're out of time. No, here we go. A couple of minutes and let's get right to it. Danny Cannell goes off and says, I just had a couple of minutes. He puts out a tweet. The war on football is real. Not sure source, but concussion alarmists are loving it. Liberal media loves it. Doesn't matter. It's real. Can we just go ahead and say that Danny got hit in the head once too often?
Well, I think what we want to say is that Danny is a kind of a sensationalist on the issue as well. There are a lot of well-meaning people, and I'm not taking sides on this, but I am on the board of Pop Warner, and one thing that's very important, we just got back from the Pop Warner Super Bowl. It's going on right now at Disney. There are 225,000 kids that play football for Pop Warner, and there are safety committees, there are health committees, there are standards, and the whole issue of medical science is evolving. And so there is a sensationalist movie. There are sensationalist people that are trying to take advantage of it. I am not minimizing it. All I'm trying to say is there is a rush to judgment, and this needs further study. It always does.
But how can we say, and again, I'm going to come back at you, and let's go ahead back and forth here, that there's a rush to judgment when we have Junior Seau and other players who are out there? Frank Gifford's death, people are saying that his brain is going to be donated. They're going to look at that as well. But there is evidence, certainly pointed out in the movie as well, that CTE is real and players are dying of it.
Well, it's real, and I don't think anybody would admit that it's not real. I find it hard to believe that anybody would say that. The whole notion of scientific study is how do we best combat it, and what do you do with it? Maybe some of the NFL rules are misplaced. I don't want to pass judgment on that, but hits in the head, we now have a targeting rule that requires a mandatory suspension, and some people are saying that's too tough. The players are saying we don't know what the rules are because they're changing. You know what? They ought to change. And the bottom line is they need to evolve ahead of the science or along with the science. I don't think anybody should say that the disease does not exist, and I don't think they're saying that.
Do you think that we're looking at a stage when Bennett Amalo, the doctor who was involved, or at least is the basis of the concussion movie, he says a kid shouldn't play until they're 18, which may be a little overboard to some people, certainly to Danny Cannell. But are we not looking at a change, though, in the way football, if we look ahead to football 20 years from today, wouldn't you agree it's going to be a completely different game?
Well, it's certainly not going to be flag football, but I think it's changing every day anyway. And I do think that the one thing we see today, to be honest about it, that you don't see years ago, is that people are absolutely taking it seriously. There is a reduction in people playing, and the parents are taking it seriously. I think fundamentally it's an individual decision for parents, and I think they need to understand the safety risks that are attached to these games. We see some statistics that say that lacrosse and soccer generates more head injuries, and that's one of those issues that can be debated as well. So I'm clearly not taking a side. All I'm trying to suggest to you is that the science needs to carry the day.
Right, but 15 seconds left. Let's both you and I agree on something here. This is not liberal media at work here. This is Cannell going overboard. He works for a network that makes a lot of money with the NFL, too.
I guarantee you the media can be thought leaders in certain areas, but they should not and are not and will not be thought leaders in this area, I can guarantee you.
Yeah, let's face it. And you and I both know that there are some athletes we've known over the decades who should not be thought leaders in just about anything, but that's a story for another day.
Really quickly, I understand the bottom line is, will you pay to go see this movie? Because I've never seen you pay for anything.
Oh.
Have a good week.
Say goodbye to Rick Horrow, everybody. You'll never see him again. Thanks, Rick. Stay with us because the fastest 60 minutes in sports, when Horrow's here, may continue.